one of the things I never understood was, or the formula there, like how are players given the certain number of stars, like their ratings 1 through 5?
Yeah. So the way it's done on 24/7 Sports is there is like a scouting department and then like a team that actually does the interviews. So they kind of separated it. Back in the day, it used to be, Greg Biggins, Brendan Huffman, Steve Wiltfong, all those guys would be doing that together. I think that's what they're going to be doing for, On3 in the future, which is pretty cool. Because I think you need boots on the ground. I think you need to get out there with your eyes and see these guys. But I'll be honest with you, Manny, the top 250 guys in the country, anybody could pick out. It's not hard. You go out to a camp and you eyeball these guys, you watch some one-on-one reps, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It's really in that middle that's more challenging. And, frankly, some guys are a little bit more exposed than others. Guys that go out to a lot of camps, guys that, have more exposure, they might have an advantage as far as that goes. And I know our national recruiting analysts try to do a good job of trying to steer away from that. But, it's tough to evaluate every high school player in the country every single year. I would say they generally do a pretty good job based on what I've seen, especially from the prep ranks when they get a chance to see these guys a number of times. Now, the transfer ratings, you can't do that. Like, you have to, because you're a business and you're trying to make it relevant. But Jaheim Otis is an 87, and there's guys that are 86s and 85s on Colorado's incoming transfer class that are going to have a much bigger impact that Jaheim Otis has next year at his new school. So I would say that is challenging. I know they try to do a good job. I really genuinely do. I know there's kind of this debate sometimes that, like, when somebody commits to Colorado, they get downgraded. I would say over my 20 plus years covering the Buffaloes, the number of guys that have gotten upgraded has been pretty similar to the guys that have been downgraded. So I think that part of it is a little bit false. But it's also part of the fun, right? Of being able to pull up a young man's huddle film and say, I think these guys are idiots. I see Quentin Gibson doing what he's doing out here. He's going to be a really good receiver at Colorado. And so I think that's part of why we do it as well, right? Is that discussion part of it. The same reason that there's preseason magazines, same reason there's preseason rankings, as silly as it can be at times, because it's not the be all end all. It does generate discussion and provide college football fans something to discuss during the off season.
Totally. You actually answered a question I had in my head, which was exactly about, like, do you believe in the whole downgrading if they commit to a school that, they're not expected to, or upgrading them based on, like, if they go to a school that's higher? Sounds like you have a pretty good track record of understanding the data behind those, which is really cool. One other thing I wanted to ask you on that, and kind of in that same range, like, we've talked a lot, Manny and I, about the value of high school recruiting in today's day and age, and the money that you commit to it versus, like, do you just go portal and do you spend that money there? Like, after covering this business for so long, do you see a decline in the value of actually going after high school recruits nowadays? Or, like, where does that line play for you today?
Yeah, I do. And it comes down to where you are financially. If you are a Texas Tech with that financial money, yeah, you're gonna get some high level transfers, but you can also invest in some of these high school kids, because you know that when they blow up, you can match that offer, right? Colorado has a tough time doing that with some of these guys, and obviously we've seen some guys that left in recent weeks to the transfer portal, and money was the factor there. It's tough to bring in guys and be a farm system for another football team. It's not quite to the extent it used to be. When Carl Durrell was the head coach, very late in his tenure, they couldn't get any transfers in, and they were just a flat out farm system for farm team for other teams out there. So it's not quite to that extent, but like, and Jordan Seaton's not the good example because I mean the amount of money he's going to make this coming year is absurd. I don't think you are ever going to pay that for a left tackle at Colorado in my lifetime. But there's that next tier of guys that they can blow up like a Tawfiq Bayard that maybe didn't necessarily want to leave Colorado, but saw this as an opportunity. Is he an NFL guy? Maybe, but he's not the biggest guy. And so he's got to maximize his earning potential at this point. So some guys like that, you kind of understand where they're coming from. From the high school ranks, you gotta probably sign about 15 a year just to keep that pipeline going. And they have had guys that have come in and had an impact there. And Deion Sanders can attract better high school talent than a lot of the head coaches that have come through Boulder in the past. So you do want to do that, but I agree with you 100%. Like, and this has been an evolving trend during this portal window of kind of reinventing yourself as a program of how you bring in talent. Colorado has completely done that. They couldn't bring in transfers, like I said a minute ago, a couple years ago. So there are some positive things that have happened despite 3-9 from a talent acquisition standpoint. But prep recruiting, yeah, sign about 14, 15, 16 guys, I think is a good number.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we were talking, what was it, the 40-40-20 rule last week? We were, or the, I guess, whatever plan, maybe that's the better word that Coach Prime was talking about, because it was Brian Howell, I think, that released it a couple, the 40-40-20 plan. Here's the update of, and it's pretty close to that, what they were talking about with that. So, but yeah, it's an ever-changing landscape now, the NIL thing, and it almost feels, like that me and Miles talk about is it almost changes daily, weekly, like there's something new every single week, it feels like. So I don't even know the rules to it at this point, it feels like. So
everybody's trying to figure out this new landscape, and it's like you said, it's evolving every day, and there's new court cases that seem to be popping up every day. And what is eligibility now? I mean, it just at some point we got to get some type of leadership, but I think that day is a little far off, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm with you.